Hey guys, welcome back to Game of Day May. It's day 13. We're gonna do some Donkey Kong today. Essentially, I kind of consider that you beat this game if you cycle through and save Pauline. So that's basically what we're doing. The only way to really technically beat this game completely is to hit the kill screen, and I'm not good enough to do that. But we are going to be able to do a little bit of board clearing today, clear some boards, jump some barrels, and save Pauline a couple times, and we'll call it a day. Sometimes people may not have even been able to see this game cycle through all the way one time, so, you know, in these older games, when you cycle it through, again, to me, I kind of consider that beating it. It's definitely a harder game to completely defeat. One day I hope to see the kill screen, but you essentially have to get so far in the game that the game can't produce any more data to allow you to go. It rolls over the timer data to the point where you don't have enough time to complete the screen. But this is the arcade ROM of Donkey Kong, released by Hamster for the Nintendo. For the arcade by Nintendo. It's the first time that they've actually completely released the arcade ROM, with the exception of apparently there was an Easter egg that would allow you to play the arcade ROM inside Donkey Kong 64. I've never done that myself, so I'm not sure about that. But every time that they've released this game, besides this official arcade ROM release, it did not include all of the boards. It would omit this board that we just saw, the Girders board, the Pie Factory board, Cement Factory, Mud Pies, whatever you want to call it. So you wouldn't see those in the home conversions of Donkey Kong. There's also different variations of the ROM, where there's an international version which seemed to be more played consistently across the cabinets, versus a later version that also could have been attained a different ROM switch for the arcade board, which would make the variances happen with the board layouts, which you're seeing now, because I actually did it sequentially in the later version, versus if you play the international version, you actually don't see the conveyor level belt or belt layer, the conveyor belt level, until after the first loop, so you're unaware of its presence, and it makes it a little bit challenging that you then have to find out how to deal with it after looping the game once. We're on loop 1, level 1, whatever you want to see up there in the upper right corner. That was the escalators board, or elevators, whatever you want to call it, elevators. And then this is called rivets. I haven't really clearly explained the goals of this if you haven't played Donkey Kong. Each board has a slightly different objective, but mainly you're just trying to get to the top to advance Donkey Kong, to move him up, and then it switches the stage that you're on. And these four boards will be displayed in different arrangements based on what level you're on. So we're just kind of having a casual fun playthrough. You can see I broke 100K before, which is a pretty decent score to me. I think any of these vintage arcade games, especially in the early 80s, you know, this game being made in 81, I think the early 80s arcade games, any of those that you can break 100,000 points in, is pretty successful for you. Doing a little bit of point pressing there. If he comes up and hits me, I'm probably screwed. He didn't. There's so many fireballs up here, and I need to get up there to be able to hit that last rivet. I don't really know what they expect me to do. Alright, I was pretty lucky. Moving on, essentially that's beating the game. You're saving Pauline, because then it loops, and then it just gets a little bit more difficult. These games were all just based on, you know, pattern recognition and realizing that the enemy AI will get progressively more difficult and more aggressive. Trying to find out what works best for you for scoring techniques. Like, a lot of people feel like the barrels level is one of your biggest opportunities to score points, and it is. But then again, you have stuff like this, like I don't know what I'm supposed to do there. I pretty much got trapped. It is because you can actually lead barrels and, you know, manipulate them to your advantage, so that you can jump over more of them, get more of them to fall straight down, and jump over more of them so you can maximize your scoring potential. So they say barrels is definitely a level that you can get a lot more scoring done on, but I myself prefer to go for the later levels and point press when I can, go for the later levels, just consistently hitting items and stuff, and I can't get anywhere near a top score because I don't do as well on barrels. But with the hammer opportunity, and you can see that there's also variances in the scoring system in Donkey Kong that make it difficult for players because of the inconsistency in the scoring. There's times that you're going to score and you're going to hit and get 500 points for something, and then there's other times you'll get 300 points for the same thing, and there's nothing really you can do about it. You just have to hope that the law of averages puts you in a situation where those, fall favorably for you. The goal of the cement factory or the pie factory is to get to the top with one of those two ladders that you saw the fireball on the right go up, and those are mechanical ladders, which definitely gives it some difficulty curve. And also you can see I'm on a conveyor belt there. We have the fireballs that are coming out at us. I love this board. It's crazy that until this ROM came out, I had never got myself skill-wise up to the par to be able to even get here, and now I can consistently get here on an actual arcade, which is great. You can actually use the ROM to get better and get your skills up to the point where you can then translate those skills onto an actual arcade. I moved to the right, and this guy's now hanging up here. I hope he moves. I'm gonna just try to go all the way over to the left now, since he decided he wanted to hang out over there. Climb up here, and there we go. Ooh, I can't believe I made that. Donkey Kong was originally created out of a failed game called Radar Scope. All the cabinets need to be recommissioned to this game. Shigeru Miyamoto was able to actually convert an unsuccessful game and use its kit to be able to make this game. And they were able to actually save their part of the industry, which was not doing too well with their first arcade effort, Radar Scope, which is basically a top-down shooter. And space shooters were pretty much easier to make, but Miyamoto wanted to try something else. Oh, I can't believe I got hit. I looked like he barely clipped my nose. Another cool thing about Donkey Kong is I don't really think that it was... I think it was mainly a ability to show different gameplay styles more than how they thought it was going to, what the theme was going to be. I think that if you look at the fact that the first three Donkey Kong games are all very different games, it was more about a gameplay mechanic than actually what was actually you're going to get through to do whatever. Platforming was relatively new, so the first game is a platformer, the second game is a platformer, and the third game is a platformer shooter hybrid, which a lot of people don't like, me included. I'm not a big fan. That's another way that you can get up there. Moving right along, still on loop 2. I'm going to try to loop through it again. And like I said, this is a shorter episode of Game of Day May. Every time that you loop through it, you're technically beating this game to me, because these games have no end until the programming itself decides to give out. In this case, which is with Donkey Kong, the programming itself will give out before the player, most of the time, the player themselves will have more dexterity to be able to continue it longer than the game will actually allow itself to play. I can't believe that worked out for me. In those cases, you definitely want to stand still. You don't want to do a lot of moving. And if you know that the hammer is about to deplete completely, you definitely don't want to, walk across a beam. Now, what you see I'm doing now is something called point pressing. If you jump, and at the top of your jump, hit, in this case, I have to hit right. But the very top of my jump arc, and as long as I don't touch them, it'll activate for 100 points. you got to make sure that you get a good rhythm on it, and if you don't feel like you're getting the rhythm I'm getting here, then I wouldn't suggest doing it, because you're gonna lose as many points in the opportunity to score there. If the seconds are going down, you're gonna get just as many points on your bonus. So at that point, you might as well just let your bonus accrue if you're not getting the point presses to happen at a rate of about 1.5 times of what your bonus is accelerating. Here we are on loop 3. This time I better not run all the way to the right, or we'll get clipped by that guy. I usually like to grab that first hammer and get as many points as possible, but I'm going to go ahead and press up as fast as I can. Do a little bit of barrel manipulation if I can. I knew I was going to get hit by that, and I still went for it anyways. That's usually to your detriment. If you feel like it's not going to work out, it usually won't, so you should trust your gut instinct. This is definitely a gut instinct game. If you ever feel a specific way about it, at the end of the day, that's all that matters, so that's what you should go with. Oh, and that's it on that first one. Because it went so well, we'll go ahead and do some more. Just do a little bit more. As you saw my high score, there's a couple things on there. You know, I have some social commentaries I truly believe when it comes to Billy Mitchell. It shouldn't be controversial. It shouldn't be a controversial take at this point. That's all I'll say. The Vid-Bits are not trying to get embroiled in any of Mr. Mitchell's frivolous lawsuits. Even if we just state the obvious. I'm going to restart. I hope one day to own a original Donkey Kong arcade cabinet. I definitely don't want a Mame. I don't want a MAME. I don't want a conversion. I mean, I'll take anything that I can that's an original Donkey Kong. Or, like, the dream, I guess, would be the tri-cabinet that has Donkey Kong Jr., and Mario Brothers, because they're all great original arcade games. They're all great high score-a-thons. You know, that drop one more quarter and see if I can beat my score games. I love those. I'd like to at least break 50,000. It does record your high score, so that legitimately is a legit 1087, which, like I said, if you break 100,000 on an old school arcade game, then you got to know what you're doing. You just can't go walk up to a Galaga machine and break 100,000. A good score on Barrels 1 is probably like 7,800 points, so you can see I was on the low end there. I should definitely hang out here more and get all these pies, mud pies or whatever. You have to be careful. As you saw, I got hit when it switched. As a note of thumb, if he shifts to one side completely, then that's when the conveyor belt changes direction. So as soon as he gets over to that left side, you can watch those pies go to the right, and they'll stay going to the right. And when he hits that left side again, then they'll move back to the left. So you have to use that as your guide. I wasn't being mindful of that. You can also use it to your advantage though, because then you could do stuff like jump like that. I'm going to restart again. I'm actually going to go back to the title screen and switch the mode to the international version of the ROM. That way we don't see Pie Factory on the first loop and see how well we can do on this one. I haven't broke 100,000 on this one. I've only got 99.5 on this one. I think this is what's considered the ROM that most people that are playing competitive are playing on, not the one I was playing, the later version. I think the later version is something that was added when people probably never saw the Pie Factory level. I think you have to be on like the 6th or 7th screen before you actually see it. And you see stuff like that too, where I jumped over it and it didn't even register. That's a good hammer. That's a real good hammer. That's an extremely good hammer. And that was the difference between all of those. Alright. We're gonna hang out here some. Press forward a little bit. Know that when you're underneath him here, that's part of his range of dumping those barrels. Whew. There we go. That's a little bit better of a board one. 64. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Alright. So in this it goes basically the first screen is barrels, then we go straight to rivets. And I didn't pick this first because when I told you just beating the loop once, I was going to consider beating the game. You know, just showing you like what a loop was. That wouldn't have been a very long video at all. The key with the hammer here is I don't want to commit to going over that. I want to hope that he comes over, because then I can go over here. And if these guys hang out, I can usually get them too. And you want to make sure that you're, oh gosh, you want to make sure that you're mindful to not be committing to going in that rail halfway. Wow, that was luck. Let's see if we can drop him down here. No, he's going to go upstairs. That's fine. Come over here and commit to that. I had to drop back because those guys were super committed, and just as he's super committed to coming back over to the right side. Aggressive fireballs, and I got hit bad. This is only the first board, so definitely this is a lot harder of a version. You know, a lot of people when they play Donkey Kong, they died the first 5 minutes. It's the truth. It's not like a joke about it. This game is hard as nails, and you have to commit to learning enemy AI and variances and stuff like that. There's a lot of variances you can have and lock down in your mind like what should happen, but it doesn't mean it's gonna happen. I need that guy to go to the left. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Get that guy, get his friend. Come over here and get this guy. Nice. Now that I got all these out, I'm just going to go ahead and point press this guy until that guy gives me a reason not to, which is going to do it right away, so I'm going to jump it. That was an okay level 1. I shouldn't have died at all. That was just an aggressive fireball, and it's not an excuse. You could see that guy was just super hyper. He was just super hyper on his AI on that route, and that really shouldn't be the case in the first run. Gonna move on. You can choose whether or not you hammer here or not. I feel like I just usually hammer up at the top. That way I'm closest to the exit when I do this here. And I mean, I also am closest to them coming down, so I feel like it kind of maximizes the amount that I can get. I like to stand here. I'm just waiting for one to drop and then I'll go. As long as that next one's not super aggro. I kind of want to wait for... There we go. You see that wild barrel that he threw? That was crazy. Alright. This is already pretty fast. Going all the way up to the top real quick to get this umbrella. I'm going to drop back down. Mario cannot fall a very large distance. Oh, that was so stupid. We'll try it again, right up here. There we go. Just be more mindful of those guys coming down. Bloop, there he is. Now there's a place that you can point press in this stage too. I haven't showed you that yet. We'll try to show you some of that now. Point pressing here is not very useful, but it's possible. You want to move here, you want to move here, you want to move here. You saw I could not have moved any slower, I would have been pinched for sure. Alright, the second loop on, it just gets kind of sporadic on how those fireballs decide that they want to spawn, so we're going to kind of look at that. We got 2. None of them's dropped yet. So I'm going to kind of just try to clear out this second tier here. Then go all the way back to the left after I drop him down. Then go all the way up because that guy's super aggro. I did a rebound jump there. I'm just hoping he comes to me. That's good. That's a good. I'm just trying to get some movement to go on with these guys. Pardon me. I was hoping that some of these guys were going to come down. There we go, at least one of them did. Pardon me. Alright, time's dwindling down, and those guys are just so aggro over there in the corner. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to successfully come out of this, but we'll see what happens. I have to go straight up. I have to go down. Alright. So the other thing I could possibly do is just go all the way to the top and try to get those top ones nailed out first, because it seems like they're super aggressive, right? So let's try to do some of that. So we'll just go over here, see if he stays over. Man, what an aggressive guy. Take him out. Take him out. You can go to the middle, that way if they go to either side you can get there quick. Once you know the time's about to run out, just commit. Now what we have, what we already didn't want. We have fireballs all the way to the top, and then we got a guy coming over here. So, alright, we got that taken care of. And now we gotta hope to goodness that, no, that's not, we're not in a good spot. Okay. Let's try another one, shall we? That wasn't very good either. And then if that doesn't do too well, we'll switch back over to the later version. I just want to try to get a decent score, put a decent score up also while I'm doing a couple loops for you guys. Again, I am taking it liberally as far as like beating the game in this case, because you have to technically beat the game, you have to play the game until the game crashes, so we're not trying to do that. As far as completing a couple loops, beating the game Atari style, where you just, you know, finish the cycle, we're definitely doing that tonight. Done it a couple times on a couple different versions of it, of the ROM. Alright. When you have two barrels close to each other like that too, it's best not to advance, because that way you can give the time of the spacing of the hammer going up and down to finish that second barrel, but if you move forward you're going to probably collide with it. And at this point you're just waiting for a decent spacing opportunity. There we go. Get over that guy, over that guy, over that guy. Again, a good score is anywhere between like 7,000 to 8 something on that. But those are people that are just way better at barrel manipulation than I am. Yeah, there we go. 500 for one, 800 for another one. Is that gonna come up? Yeah. 300 for him. Can do a little bit of point pressing. That guy's being too aggressive, so we'll start to drop down. Well, that's not good. Yeah, that wasn't good. I don't know why. I can sometimes get to like loop 3 or 4 and not lose a guy, but if I do lose my first guy, it's going to be on the first time that I get to the rivets board. I don't know why. There's hammers in here, but really you shouldn't use any of them the first loop. You should just go through as fast as possible, because you can see how aggressive those fireballs are being, and I don't know. There's nothing that really has a rhyme or reason to it. Sometimes they're not at all. There's no dev switch to flip on this ROM. When you just turn it on, it just decides how it's going to play. And sometimes it's just absolutely brutal. Like that's, I mean, you probably have heard it, notorious people say it, but that's the thing about Donkey Kong. There's times that you play it, and it's just ridiculously difficult. You can have all the strategy in the world, but you can't really dictate how certain things are going to randomly be affected that time. So there's a loop. Also, because of how it's stretched and everything, they don't perfectly center up with the screen, but this is Hamster's, you know, rendition of an arcade ROM of Donkey Kong, and they've never, you know, allowed somebody to release it. They've never ported it. It's never been like released on a pack that's been officially the arcade version of their games until Hamster was given the right to do it, which is great because these things needed to be preserved, and not everybody can afford thousands of dollars to play an arcade perfect version of Donkey Kong. But I mean, I also am playing with the controller, so there is that variance. Maybe my skill would be better if I was playing with a actual joystick, or maybe it would be worse. I don't know. I have the liberty of freedom of having this actuating in my hand, and you know, the directional pad is more than ample. But then again, I've found that recently it's been discovered that barrel manipulation can occur down ladders being traversed with holding multiple inputs at the same time. So I don't know if technically people that are playing on console may actually have a competitive advantage to somebody that's playing an arcade. Plus, even though it's an arcade ROM, there's no, as far as these scores go and competing against other people, there's no legality. I mean, I'm not having to prove to anybody what I'm playing with. So, you know, if I was playing with a joystick that had a longer input and I could hold 2 directions at once, I can apparently do more intricate barrel manipulation, therefore being able to achieve more point scoring. So when you look at these people that are in the top tier of the scoring, you have to wonder to yourself whether or not they achieve those means through what input method, and there isn't really a way to ascertain that information unless you try to contact the sources themselves. I'm playing specifically with the Pro controller right now and using the D-pad for input. Here, here, here. There we go. Feel a little bit better about that. And then we start back at, get back to rivets again. Hopefully we can get a less aggressive level here. No, I just kind of hope that that guy just lets me get up there and take care of business. He let me get up there. He didn't let me take care of business. Jeez. It's just so ridiculous. And jumping over fireballs is just pointless because they're so sporadic on whether or not they're going to double back. So, you know, you're just counting on blind luck at that point. You pretty much have to commit to where you want to go and then double back and hope that they don't follow you there. I staggered there, that's not good. Ugh. Nice. And he got stuck there. Alright. So what I can do here is I can do some serious point pressing. Oh, not serious. See how aggressive he got? That's crazy. That guy was nowhere on my radar, and then all of a sudden he's like, yep, there he is, and he heat-seeked right to me. Okay, back to some barrels. That's why I waited. I was pretty sure he was going to come down. I was hoping that guy was going to drop so I could just go. Alright. 5K bonus. That's a good one. And this is why I think, you know, for me specifically, I'm better off just clearing the barrel board than trying to manipulate it. And then I got to, you can see I got to Pie Factory for the first time, and it took me to get on the third loop before we see it. So that's why it's crazy that other people just didn't even know that this board existed. You have to be good enough at Donkey Kong to get to the third loop, and most people don't see the third elevator stage, because the third elevator stage is like pretty much where, I wouldn't say the game goes to shit per se, but once you get there, the learning curve is just insane. That was just dumb. That was just dumb of me. I shouldn't even have tried to do that. You have to pretty much, in Pie Factory, you have to look at what's going on about in the middle of the screen. I'm still kind of developing a good strategy for it myself, other than the strategy of knowing, you know, when he's going to change directions based on, or the conveyor's going to change directions based on Donkey Kong's movement. You know, it's a very difficult stage. And you also get about as much time as him going back and forth the screen one time, maybe just a little bit more than that. See, I got some aggressive fireball over there on the left, and he's all the way at the top. And then I got a guy all the way at the right, all the way at the top. So my only option is to go to the left here. Hope that I can... See, and he just jumped over there all of a sudden. It's just bad. Now I gotta hope that he doesn't come all the way over. Maybe I can get up. Barely did. It's fun. It's just definitely challenging. So that's why I loved when I finally got there. Now, this is the level. If you can get past this escalator stage, this elevator stage, it's really what's going to dictate where you're able to go in Donkey Kong, because the spring situation up at the top is just very finicky. You have to be able to learn what spring to move on, when to move. Know that certain ones are going to get you killed for sure. You have to know when to climb. And I barely made it. You saw it clipped my foot. Like, it clipped the pixel of my foot. And there's times that I get through to Elevators 3, and that's as far as I get. And there's other times I can get way further. I feel that that's a pretty respectable score now that I've broken, you know, 50K. But it's still, you know, not near what I'm capable of on my best playthroughs. But a lot of those are contingent upon how the enemy's going to help me out that day. I really shouldn't have walked over that. Alright. Going up. Get some more scoring going on. Nice. That was so close. That guy's just going to keep going. I'm just going to go for it. Just going to go for it. Wow, that was great. Awesome. 67.9. Back to barrels. So we're on the 4th loop. That's pretty good. I mean, obviously it's not great. We're talking about people being able to break 1,000,000 points on Donkey Kong, so I'm, you know, going for a... I beef that so bad. Going for a measly 100K on it, and I can't get 100K. Alright. We're gonna go do one more loop on the later version. And we're gonna call it a... Call it. But yeah, here's some Donkey Kong, and it's fun. You know, it's definitely not unapproachable. It'll help you with some of the old school platforming games once you kind of learn how the little nuances is with the enemy AI placement and stuff like that. How to do point pressing and stuff. You can also do point pressing when barrels come down ladders. In those situations. Barrel's got me a little shook right now. There we go. I was waiting for a good opportunity to go down. Alrighty. But when I talk about barrel manipulation, what I'm talking about is they find ways to group them in 2s and 3s, and you're going to get a lot better scoring situations when you're jumping 2s and 3s, or when you have, you know, in this situation, a hammer assisting you where, you know, they're falling. So now you could, again, the later version we get to do Pie Factory next. So in this case, I'm going to try to wait until this guy goes, and I'm going to do some jumping and also some hammering. So I get 100 points, 100 points. I'm going to jump and hit this hammer, and then get, oh, when I go across this jump, and then he should double back now, and these guys should start coming to me. So 1, well, that's it. The other ones didn't come back. They were too far off screen. Maybe I get another one. 2. Do I get another one? Nope. That's alright, I got 2. Go ahead and head back over to the left because that guy's being aggro. Pardon me. Okay, he decided to go back to the right. I'm sorry, he decided to go back to the left while I was going to the left, so... Oh, my foot touched it. gives me another opportunity to score on this conveyor belt here. Some guys will come out. Bam. There we go. 1. Come on. 2. Run over here real quick because I know it's going to change. 3. That's good. You at least want 3. Or it's not going to be worth how much time the hammer takes up because it's going to prevent you from heading up any ladders anyways. So you're not going to be able to get your best scoring opportunity out of it if you don't, you know... Oh, come on. I thought he was going to just go up the ladder. Get this guy down here. I need all the points possible, so I have to do the little rinky-dinky stuff like jump for these. I'm going to wait for him to go down, grab this back up, and I'm going to try to do the jump across the top to save some time here. 1, 2. You can get those a couple times. See the point press? Gosh, I tried to show the point press and I died there. That was just so bad. I'm gonna reset one more time. Alright, just gonna run through this later version one more time and we're gonna call it. I appreciate you checking in this late night stream here on this Saturday night of the Vid-Bits Game of Day May, Day 13, doing a couple loops of some Donkey Kong. Again, if you don't consider this beating a game, I'm sorry. I still appreciate that you're checking it in with us and stuff like that. I played a little bit loose with the terms today, but I mean, I also did Adventure yesterday and did the first loop at that, so I mean, you can't really technically beat a lot of old school arcade games. The ones that were programmed correctly will just continuously loop forever. So, you know, to me, just saving a princess or getting the key or getting the crown or whatever on a loop of those games and then starting over, that's completing it to me. You know, at that point, it's just how many times you complete it, and you just happen to be able to complete Donkey Kong enough to the point where it'll crash. So maybe one day I'll be good enough to do that, and that'd be cool, because I don't even care if it has a tremendously high score attached to it. Just the fact that you can get to a specific board and that'll happen, it's just amazing to me. And if I can actually witness it in real time by myself, that would be pretty cool. See if I can get a better score here, though. You know, at least maybe put up a high score. Wait till the last minute. Jump up and get that guy. Hopefully get a second one. There it is. I'm going to zip to the right as fast as possible since it's changing directions. See if we can get a third one. I did. That's great. Go up. Let's get this guy. That's the hat. Come over and get the umbrella. And I'll just try to go straight up. Being really crazy. It's pretty decent. I was going to try to jump on that and I didn't feel comfortable. I felt like I would have got smushed. Fireball goes down. Oh, that was weak. Can't blame anybody but myself there. Well, I was going to get the hat, but this fireball is just playing with me. There we go. And they're not giving me any opportunity to point press today. They're not feeling it, apparently. Alright. Rivets. If they're gonna be aggressive, you gotta be aggressive too, right? He thinks he's gonna come back over here, and that's not happening. No, this is that good point pressing I was hoping for. As long as he doesn't come too close to me, which he is, so I'm gonna have to jump it, but you want to put yourself in a position where they're not going to be, you know, advancing on you while you're trying to do it. That first loop was 2,200. I like to try to get, I'm sorry, 22,000. I like to try to get about 25. I think I got to loop 5 when I hit that 1087, and I haven't moved it in quite some time. Oh wow. One, 2, 3, 4. Come back here. 5. Move up here. 6. That's good. 6 piece, and then the way up. That's a good deal. That's a good. I like the later version because you get an opportunity to play all the boards. Bam. Bam. Another one. Another one. Alright, these guys are on both sides of my deal here. I don't want to go all the way down, but I don't know how he's being super aggressive. Move to the left here, and we're just going to go for it because they're being super aggro, and we'd rather get a decent point bonus there instead. Get a little bit more speed here. I'm not going to try to do that jump already. It just seems like it's too fast for me. Instead, we just have to go the long. Oh my gosh! If you hold the direction when you go up the ladder, it's stuff like that that happens too. I just rolled right off. It just looked like I walked off. Miss input. Okay. I can't believe I bounced back like that twice. I apologize for putting up completely pathetic scores with the exception of that 66,000. It's not, you know, like me, I'm usually pretty alright. Can usually get to board full levels 4 and 5, but I'm way out of practice. High scoring games, you have to dedicate a lot of time. And when you're out of form, you can definitely tell it reflects in your performance. But it's all good. Boop. 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 And we're up. I'd like to at least break 50K on this one. Sometimes you have those days where you play the game, and there's other times that the game plays you, and there's just really nothing you can do about it. It's really one of those things you can't put into words that make any sense until you're feeling it when you're playing a game, and you're like, man, why is it just beating me down today? There's days that it's just like that. Come down, thank you. I don't know if I should have gone down and got that or gone up, but see if I could draw these guys all over there. I was hoping I could, but you just want to hang out there and just ruin my 50k day? No, he wanted to. Alright. Even with this 108, I'm still ranked in the top 150 people on this game. That shows you how difficult it is, like, to get really high scores. Is, you know, there's only about 100 people that have even broken 100,000, which is crazy. There it is. Well, at least I got 50,000 on this one. Almost 66,000 on the other one. I've seen other YouTubers that are a lot more prominent than me brag about breaking 60,000, so... Alright. See if we can get it. See if we can break 60,000 here on Pie Factory. If I break 60,000 in this playthrough, then I will do another run on this difficulty setting and see if I can do better. But if I don't, then we're gonna call it. It's looking pretty darn good. Oh. Oh. Look at that. Nice. Did 64.6. You can already see how fast this guy's going. Get the guaranteed points. Last time it was 300, this time it's 800. Another 800. Gotta be careful of that fireball and how these conveyor belts are coming down now. By the skin of my teeth. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I didn't move it. I should have moved a little bit more forward. I broke it. I broke that 66,000, so we're going to do one more. If I break that score again, then we'll keep going. If I don't break that 66.4, we're going to call it. Because I still have some time. It's not midnight yet, and I'd love to actually put up a score that allowed me to put a name in. It's been a while since that's happened, too. Let's see if I can avoid actually falling down that one side this time. Ah, that was weak. I mean, you see the options you have, because if you're dilly-dallying down there with the first hammer, it's just pointless to do that in the first board. I don't know. I always skip this first hammer because if you think about how much time you have to wait for barrels to come down to actually attain any type of score, you're just completely milking down your score bonus too, so I should have jumped those. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. You want about 6. That's good. 6 is good. Just waiting for one to drop and then one to get thrown down at the same time. Like, or that's a good window too. Okay. We really want to try to use this board to get a lot of points. As you can see, I'm getting points jumping. I'm trying to time it with jumping over and hitting it for points. And if you can get 3 pies, that's usually good. I've gotten 1, 2. This will be the 3rd. Oh god, and I kept walking into it. Looks like we're probably about wrapping it up then. Unless I go on some miraculous large tear of points here. One, 2. You get third guy? Third guy coming out? 3. There we go. Jeez. That guy didn't want to come out. Alright, obviously I'm just being super aggressive this time. And that was just absolutely dumb. I can't end on that. Can't do it. One more time. One more time. This is the last credits. We're going to run through one more. Hopefully do a couple more loops. Hope that you've enjoyed this little casual playthrough of some Donkey Kong, showing you the different variances on the ROMs, and giving you a little bit of love out to the Nintendo Switch version, which is the only way to officially play this game that's licensed by Nintendo. If you're not playing it on an actual arcade cabinet, this is the only legal way that you're playing Donkey Kong. If not, you're playing it on a MAME machine, and that's not legal. Nintendo didn't get paid for that. You know, those aren't going to get you any type of validation as far as high scoring contests go. Whereas, you gotta be kidding me. I'm sorry, I said one more. I'm not dying on the first screen. Say that you get on the, you know, a good score on a MAME machine, then you're in the same situation as Mr. Mitchell, where you're trying to claim that you're the greatest in the world. So you want to get a good score for Donkey Kong and be recognized for it, you got to put it up on an actual arcade machine, or, you know, on this hamster produced ROM that was licensed by Nintendo of their original version of Donkey Kong. And I mean, it's officially licensed, so you know, you put a decent score up on this and nobody can say anything against you. They may question how you got it. They may question what type of input method that you use, since we're starting to learn more about how the variances with that are. But, you know, that'll be up to you. You know, that's like if you get a high score on a board and you're using a turbo controller, you know, you got that score because you used a turbo controller. If other people aren't using it, you have an astronomically higher score, then, you know, you really just, at the end of the day, it's how you feel about it. If you can sleep at night and you think that you're better than everybody else because you used a turbo controller, then so be it. But we're looking at apples and oranges here when people are breaking 1,000,000 points on Donkey Kong but using MAME to do it and splicing together footage and all kinds of crazy stuff. You know, just get on an original Donkey Kong arcade machine and put it up, or jump here on Hamster's emulated version of their official ROM that was licensed by Nintendo and put it up. You can definitely hook up a Switch to a joystick and use a joystick to do these games. That's another reason why I like it. I've actually considered building an arcade cabinet just for a Switch, to carry a Switch that has Hamster's version of their arcade ROMs in it, because they're doing such a good job on these conversions. And, you know, like I said, you can actually play this version of this ROM even with the controller. Go to an arcade and you will have learned the timing and the skills to be able to translate those skills onto your arcade scoring. I promise you, because I could not get to Pie Factory at all. I played this for quite some time, walked up to an official Donkey Kong arcade cabinet, an original, and was able to get there for the first time in my life. So there's also other experiences out there like that too. There's different virtual pinball machines that are just as good to to show you all the different ways of play and stuff like that. And you can learn routes and stuff like that and go up to a real pinball machine of the same type, and it's articulated so evenly and so well that your skill set should be able to then translate onto an actual machine. It's just crazy. The only difference in this case is you don't have a joystick unless you choose to have one. I was very, very much into the whole Steve Wiebe versus Billy Mitchell Donkey Kong thing when the Fistful of Quarters came out, and it was very heartbreaking to see, you know, Steve Wiebe thinking that he was doing well and trying to challenge this high score that, you know, may or may not allegedly ever been legitimate. The guy, you know, poured his heart into it, and then Billy Mitchell was somebody that I thought I respected, and so I found out all this stuff, you know, just sending in tape scores and stuff, and some guy trying to do it live. The pressure of trying to achieve any type of accomplishment in video games with somebody glaring over your shoulder and looking at the monitor, breathing down your neck, it's just difficult. There's times that I try to call my shot all the time. I remember I was telling somebody that I could beat Super Macho Man in round 1, and brought him over to my house and loaded it up and beat the crap out of everybody going up to him, and I didn't do it, and I felt frustrated, you know, that I gloated about it, and it didn't happen when the time came to prove it to somebody, but I had done it myself so many times. I just figured it would be a no-brainer that it would happen again, and it didn't, and I was just distraught because, you know, I gloated about it. But when you find yourself that, you know, you're not super braggadocious and you're very humble about your gaming accomplishments, that's when I usually find that I have my best plays and stuff, as I just eat a barrel to the face there, thinking I was going to go up that ladder. But Donkey Kong is definitely one of those, you know, rewards you for one more quarter, one more playthrough, get a little bit better, see a different variance of how the AI is going to treat you that day. See, I just had no time for the spacing of those barrel jumps. I may actually do a separate stream one day where I just play some of these games and try to break 100,000 on a couple different arcade games in a stream. I have, you know, a couple under my belt. I can do this on a good day. I can do Pac-Man. I can do Dig Dug. Donkey Kong Jr., you know. Definitely can't, you know, kill screen those games, but I can break 100,000 in them. Alright. How high can you get? Come back and get him on the way back. I'm gonna try to get this guy through with a jump and then turn. Bam. Good deal. Back this way. You want to be kind of tap touch on that, because like you don't know when it's gonna stop, and then turn the other way. As far as like having, oh, that's just, I can't believe, no, that's not looking good. He's dancing up there. Go away. Awesome. Awesome to the max. Oh wow. Snuck up there real quick. Whew. I think that spring hit his feet. This board always felt rewarding, but then like I feel like it's rewarding a little bit, and the next thing you know, it just gets super aggressive. These guys just will either let you play or they're just ready to ruin your day. There's really not much in between. Oh man. Alright, so that guy's going up and that guy's going down, that guy's going up, that guy's going down. I staggered too much there. Bam. Bam. Alright, so now I just gotta do what I always do, which is try to find a way up into that left corner, which just look at that. I mean, or that right corner, look at that. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? That guy's just chilling up there. I mean, I hope that they kind of, like, will move a little bit and let me get up there, but, like, what am I supposed to do? I'm trying to lure one of them down. I mean, I had to be committed. There's just nothing I could do there. It's so frustrating. And you saw last time I tried to go all the way up there first, and that doesn't matter. They're gonna go wherever they're gonna go, and there's just nothing you can do about it. So let's go get it first. There we go. Bam, got it first. I don't think that's gonna matter at all. Something else will just be harder, which is this, and I'm dead. Alright. It's very anticlimactic, but that is Donkey Kong, and we appreciate you watching tonight, and this was day 13 of Game a Day May. We're going to be back at you with day 14, the end of the second week. We hope that you've been enjoying this series where we try to beat a game, in this case loop a game, every day in the month of May. And appreciate all of your viewing and your time spending with us here at the Vid-Bits. And we hope to see you tomorrow. Peace.